Yes, indeed, the sounds of Churasas with Cursed be Iron. And I don't know about you, but that sounds really Northrendy. I like that. It's very Howling Fjord for me. Got the very Celtic themes going on there, even though I'm well aware that they're certainly not Scottish. My name is Total Biscuit. This is Blue Please on WoW Radio, and we talk about World of Warcraft on this show. And if you want to get involved, you can do so. Email me, themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Murloc is not spelt with a K, you heretics. It's not spelled with a K. Themurloc@gmail.com, and you can get your ideas in for the last segment of the show that we like to call the Illusion of Choice, and I don't actually have the horrible sound sample with me, so that's probably for the best. So we're going to give it a new sound sample, which sounds something like this. Yes, the Illusion of Choice. Yes, I am forcing you to make a choice between submitting something for the Illusion of Choice and not submitting something for the Illusion of Choice. Email me, themurloc@gmail.com, with your idea for the last 15 minutes of the show, and I will pick the best one, because it's an illusion of choice, it's not actually a real choice, and I will then force myself to do that particular topic, regardless of how terrible it might be. So yes, the Illusion of Choice! Yeah! That is totally inappropriate, isn't it? But it's so great. I love that sound. Now, before I go on, I have a duty to perform. Indeed. I need to give a special shout-out, and I don't usually do this in the middle of the show. I'm going to give a special shout-out to Bunkerface and all his friends. Bunkerface, particularly, has been helping me out with various different things, and he's an awesome bloke. Big fan of Bunkerface. And, as such, I'm going to say, thank you, Bunkerface, for everything you've done over the past few weeks. You have been fantastic. Now, let's get back on with this, shall we? Wrath the Lich King, first impressions. Now, I have always hated questing, and yet for some reason Wrath of the Lich King seems to be a little bit more enjoyable for me. Now I'd like to go into the ideas behind that and as to why questing in Wrath of the Lich King seems to be a little bit more fun than in the previous expansion and of course Classic WoW over the next 15 or so minutes. Yes, Total Biscuit liking questing. It's the end of the world, the sky is falling, and it sounds like that. I just wanted an excuse to press the button, I'll be brutally honest with you here. Never mind. I need to get one of those little things that you could just press random buttons and all sorts of things can happen, you know. Stop. Now. Behave yourself. Right. I think Wrath has got something that no other MMO has managed to successfully pull off. Yet. Now, you want to know why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. If you don't want to know why, I don't care, you're going to find out anyway. This is what I think Wrath has got that is making it more enjoyable to play. It's not just making it more enjoyable to play, it's changing the whole way we're looking at MMORPGs. Yes, I'm going to make a statement that outrageous. Why am I going to make a statement that outrageous? Well, here's the reason. Wrath of the Lich King has a strong narrative which is totally and completely and utterly unprecedented in MMORPGs. Yes. Now, of course, you're now aghast. You're perhaps falling off your chairs. Perhaps you might fall on something that is valuable. You will crush it. You will be upset. And it will not be my fault, because it was your fault that you put it there in the first place. And you'll be saying, Total Biscuit, why on earth would you, of all people, the person who hates the lore, the person who doesn't even read the quest text, care about the narrative? Well, it's got one particular thing which the other two... I'd say the other two expansions, that's not really true. The expansion, Burning Crusade, and Classic WoW had. And that is a proactive antagonist. Yes, what do I mean by proactive antagonist? Total Biscuit is using words that might be slightly too long. Perhaps he is a member of the liberal elite. Well, we shall find out. A proactive antagonist is an antagonist that goes out of his way to interfere with what you are doing. Who is the antagonist in Wrath of the Lich King? Come on, I could give you a... I suppose I could give you a drum roll, but actually I don't really have a drum here. I had a keyboard and a whistle. That doesn't put any count. Anyway, we'll do a drum roll. There you go, drum roll. I need a drum roll sound sample. The answer, of course, is Arthas, the one and only Lich King. He is your antagonist. He is an omnipresent enemy. And I do mean omnipresent because he's all over the place. He's an omnipresent enemy that at every turn he seems to appear and muck things up for you. And I'm not kidding. Examples. You'll have seen Arthas all over the place. one example of something I was doing, I was up in Howling Fjord doing the quest in the big area whose name I cannot pronounce, which is some kind of necromantic thing, some kind of school of necromantic ballet, as it were. And there were all sorts of kind of crazy undead things, and I went in there, and I saw a queen trying to resummon her king, some kind of lord who I cannot pronounce his name of, and I got a drop quest to kill the queen. So I killed the queen, and I'm like, okay, great, now let's go and get the lord. But no, out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, comes Arthas, and Arthas tells the lord, who is in the, halfway through being summoned, that he has other purposes for him, and he's going to set him up in Utgard Pinnacle, and he even says, if these insects manage to get there, he will get his chance to have revenge for the death of his wife. Now, on first glance, that might not seem such a big deal, but think about it. How many other examples of things like that were there in the Burning Crusade and Classic Legacy WoW? Indeed, when you were leveling up in Classic Legacy WoW, was there a single omnipresent antagonist? Indeed, was there a single proactive antagonist at any point in the story? Answer, no, there wasn't. Certainly nowhere near to this degree. What you had were disjointed zones, and they were disjointed zones. You went from one place to another, doing quests that were seemingly completely unrelated to each other, and then you reached endgame, and then you saw all these other antagonists that had done nothing, and I do mean nothing. There's no evidence of their handiwork anywhere on the map. Ragnaros, nowhere. He's in a cave. He can't even move. He's asleep. He's not doing anything. Nefarian, where do we see him? We've got all this little storyline that was written as background lore and wasn't actually part of the game, but it was written as background lore for the Blackwing Lair patch. What do we see? Nothing. He's just sitting up there. We might see him once in UBRS, once, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't really do anything, and he's supposed to be plotting world domination? What do we see? Nothing. We then get, of course, AQ20 and 40, where they seem to be getting the idea with a world event. They were getting there, but again, not omnipresent. It only affected a few very small areas in the world, and it seemed very disjointed. It was like, well, especially if you weren't at the level 60 raid game or interested in Cthulhu or anything like that, or the Courage, you'd be thinking, well, what's going on here? And again, they were moving somewhat towards it with the introduction of Naxxramas and the events surrounding Naxxramas, but never really getting there. It's stuff that was patched in later. It's stuff that was kind of added on. It wasn't there from the beginning. So Burning Crusade, what do we get? Well, we go into Burning Crusade, and you think maybe there's an alternative to, alternative? What the heck am I talking about? An opportunity. Yes, a great opportunity to bring in this proactive antagonist, and there isn't one at all. You see a couple of things. You see, like, what's-his-face, the Calculator. You see him in Hellfire, and then again, of course, you see him up in Mekkanar. You see him. So he's kind of a sort of proactive antagonist, but you only, see him in one zone. What else have you got? Well, you got Illidan. Well, you don't see Illidan at all until Blackwing Lair. At all. You see Magtheridon, but Magtheridon's kind of locked in the bottom of a basement somewhere. He's one of those 35-year-old neckbeard 4th edition D&D dwellers. He's not doing anything in the world. He's not causing any machinations or evil to happen. And you think, well, what about Kil'jaeden and all that kind of thing? Yeah, but the evidence of his handiwork isn't there, except for there being demons everywhere. That's not good enough. It's not a storytelling mechanic. Yeah, demons, hundreds of them, great, fantastic, we see demons. But who cares who brought them in, whether it was Archimon, Sargeras, or all these other crazy people in the lore that I don't give two hoots about. So we come into Wrath. And what do we see? Well, if you play a Death Knight, you see Arthas. If you go into the zone and you start there, it's Arthas. You see Arthas everywhere. He is all over the place. As someone so aptly put it, I was actually reading a thread on Something Awful forums. It's a thread dutifully mocking, and rightly so, Tim Buckley of Control-Alt-Delete infamy and his terrible drawing style. He did a really awful cartoon. I'm going to bring it up right now. Because I think Buckley's idiocy is very relevant to this particular conversation. So, off you go, guys. cad-comic.com. Don't go to it again because it's really bad. Now, here we go. Latest comic. You've got it here. And you have a really terribly drawn picture of a skeleton and the Lich King. It's like words, but I'll say it for you. And he says, "My lord, some of us were wondering, shouldn't you be out, spreading your wrath? Spreading it to whom? The couple of super nerds who are already level 80, I think their lives are sad enough without me going out there to kick them in the teeth. Well, or do you just expect me to stroll into downtown Stormwind to start handing out some wrath, ganking newbies? Is that what you expect of me? No. I have to sit here, probably for weeks, while some girl finally gets it together enough to kill me. So until then, here I am on my effing ice chair while everyone else in Northrend gets to have fun. Okay. And then the skeleton, of course, says, okay, whatever you want, bitch king. Oh, Buckley, you're awful! You can't even come up with a good joke. The thing is, he's wrong as well. It's not even based on fact. It's because he doesn't play the game. He's a moron. It's like, oh, the guys who play WoW are super nerds. Furiously plays War. Pot calling the kettle black. He's a bloody hypocrite and he can't draw his way out of a paper bag. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that this is its exact opposite to what is actually happening. You see him all over the place. His hand is everywhere. You see him pop up. And having this antagonist helps drive a story. Now, think about it this way. What's the difference between an MMORPG and a single-player RPG? Here's the difference. A single-player RPG is primarily story-driven, and it's linear. Yeah? So, to be a good linear game, it's got to be story-driven, right? Because otherwise, why would you play it? You know, it's just you going through a rat maze, and that's really not all that fun. But if you drive it with a good enough plot, good enough story progression, and character progression, then yes, you will play it. Now, MMOs have been lacking that. Well, why? That's pretty blatant obvious why. How do you have character progression when you have 11 million characters? You can't. You simply cannot do it. However, what they've realised, and this is, I think, a stroke of genius on their part, is that by having a proactive antagonist, you can drive people forward to discover the story. And it links the quests together, it links the areas together, and everything feels like a cohesive story all the way up to 80, and sure, it might be a bit grindy. Most RPGs are, MMOs particularly so. But I'll be honest, I've got myself to level 71, and I've been questing, and because of this antagonist that they've got in there, and the intrigue surrounding the Lich King and his conspiracies and his plots, and the fact that he seems to be around every single corner, giving you the finger while you get ganked, just for comedy effect, that has made me care more about the storyline. And because I'm caring more about the storyline, I'm enjoying questing more. Sure, I've installed Quest Helper because I don't like looking for things. I don't mind reading quest text, but I don't like looking for things. I like to be pointed in the direction I need to go. I say, if you're going to make the game linear, make it really linear by installing Quest Helper. It's great. So, I found myself enthralled by the quest lines as a direct result of this proactive antagonist. I never thought I'd hear myself say that. I'm stunned. I really am. There's plenty of bad things in this expansion that I've already noticed, and no doubt there'll be plenty more. And I'll be going on to that, of course, in the next section, but credit where credit is due. Making me enjoy questing? That is ridiculous. That's never happened before. And they've managed to do it with this fantastic idea that the whole storyline is driven by Arthas. And he's there from the very beginning. And you see him. It's not Illidan. He's not hidden away. It's not Ragnaros. He's not hidden away. Or Nefarian. Or Cthulhu. Or Kel'Thuzad. He's not hidden away. He comes out and he gets his hands dirty and he gets involved. And he screws things up for you. And yeah, it's part of a linear quest progression. But think about it this way. If that happened in a normal single-player RPG and there were no other players there, would you consider that to be good storyline progression? The answer, of course, is yes. You might turn around and say, oh, well, it's different in an MMO because everyone gets to do it. Why? Treat it as a single-player game, because now it's actually strong enough, at least in my opinion, the leveling up is strong enough for it to be a single-player game, because of all this story tying it together is so much stronger than it was. And that's how I'm treating it. At least, you know, obviously I'm going to go into instances and raid with them. Absolutely. And back when I get to 80, I'll get back into the raid game and I'll enjoy it because the raid game's great and instances are great and all this other good stuff. But while I'm leveling up, I'm finding myself enjoying something that I never used to enjoy before because I'm treating it as a single-player RPG and it's playing like one. It really is. It's playing like one. Because this story is tying it together so well. And it's actually really, genuinely, 110% fun. Wow. Never thought I'd say that. You're going crazy. So you can have that one, Blizzard. I'll give it to you. You did a good job. Very good job. I've criticised Blizzard an awful lot in the past. And I will continue to criticise Blizzard today. I can guarantee you that. But I think they really knew what they were doing. And I wasn't excited about Wrath before I got a hold of this copy in my hand. I was not excited by it. And yet when I started playing it, it sucked me right in the way that nothing else has. Not even when the original launch of WoW, not even the Burning Crusade. It sucked me in because it's kind of tapped into my love of RPGs and the love of a strong storyline tying it all together. So well done. Well done. My name's Total Biscuit. This is Blue Police. It's time for some Nubcake News, folks. Enjoy. Live from the Blue Police Tower in Howling Fjord, it's Nubcake News with award-winning anchor Total Biscuit, bringing you all the news that matters, whether you realize it or not. Welcome to this week's Nubcake News. My name is Total Biscuit, and this is my Black Ice. Damn racial equality standards. In the headlines today, as the economic downturn threatens to drown us all in the pits of poverty, a new threat has begun to emerge. Hidden in the guise of strange travellers from the north, we are getting reports of massive illegal immigration into Azeroth, threatening the livelihoods of ordinary, hard-working Azerothians everywhere. With more on the story, go to our economic correspondent, Ticking at Gerb's Biscuit. TJB, are you hearing us? Loud and clear, partner. I'm standing at the Stormwind Harbour where boatloads of these stinking foreigners are boarding our shores unopposed. The guards are standing by and doing nothing. The King of Stormwind himself is silent on the matter. The local residents of the city have formed some kind of rudimentary militia and are arming themselves with as much rotten fruit as they can carry. But this doesn't seem to be holding back the unending tide of illegal immigrants onto our fair shores. What accent is that exactly, and do we have any reports as to who these people might be? I think people is a strong word there. You're not by any chance one of them commie pinkos, are you? Well, I voted Palin. Does that make me okay? No, TB, that just makes you an idiot, but regardless, these foreigners come from the frigid waste of Northrend, and until recently they were all under the employ of the Lich King, a much-feared business tycoon whose corporate HQ stands in Icecrown. Due to the economic crisis, he had to, quote, let some of them go, and with job opportunities rather thin on the ground over there, and all the good snow-shoveling careers taken by those damn Tuskar, they've packed themselves into boats and come over here to tick her jibs. Tell me, TJB, what exactly is the difference between a normal job and a gerb? Well, the gerbs are ours, and the ticking them, that's what. Very succinct, thank you. Joining us in the studio today is the head of the Azerothian Workers' Union, Gammon, who has been organising lightning raids on these so-called interlopers. Gammon, thanks to you for joining us today. A pleasure to be here, sir. A pleasure, yes. What can you tell us about these new arrivals? They call themselves Death Knights, and from what I've seen so far, the situation is shockingly grim and dark. And grim, very dark. Sounds frightening. Tell us which of these gerbs they've been ticking. That's the problem, see, they'll do anything, literally anything, and much cheaper than any of our honest workers. They don't have the kind of training we do. Days, weeks, months of grinding to 55. No. They just come over here and jump right in. It's downright dangerous. They don't know what they're doing. Sooner or later, someone's going to get hurt. But couldn't it be said they're just doing the jobs that nobody else wants? Well, it's true that the tanking market has seen something of a downturn lately. It's a good, honest, hard-working career. The problem is the schools. All the kids want to do these days is DPS. They think it's glamorous and an easy ride. Nobody wants to get down and dirty anymore. Oh, no. Well, they're in for a shock, because these Death Knights are ticking those gerbs, too. No. Can't be. DPS, too? Is nothing sacred? Well, I suppose at least they can't heal. I wouldn't be so sure of that, sir. Mark my words. Give it a month and we won't have any gerbs left for them to tick. They'll have taken over the entire world, robbed us of our national identity. Something has to be done about it before it's too late. Thank you, Gammon. We go now by satellite to the spokesman of Equal Rights for Death Knights, Anubarak Hussein Obomina.
Thank you, TB. It's good to be here.
Hang on a moment. Didn't you used to work at Naxxramas theme park?
I still do. With this economic downturn, many of us have had to take a second job to stay afloat. You know how it is.
Yes, I suppose that makes sense. How do you respond to the accusation that Death Knights are coming into Azeroth and taking jobs that rightfully belong to the other 9 classes?
For too long, Death Knights have been treated as second-class citizens. Now we have the chance to do what has been for so long denied to us. Achieve equality with the other classes. Death Knights are hard-working, loyal, and bring their own tools and gear. They require no lengthy training or mollycoddling. They can get the job done, and should be respected for that.
And how would you suggest the denizens of Azeroth adapt to this change in working conditions?
Serve the Master as the mindless living dead.
What?
Then diversify into the manufacture of beds. It gets awfully chilly up here. A nice warm quilt wouldn't go amiss.
I see. Well, sound economic advice there. Is there anything you'd like to say to the workers of Azeroth who are struggling to survive right now?
Continue to struggle, it will make you tastier when your demise comes. Glory to Ajul.
Thank you, Arak. Very motivational. So, as you can see, nothing to worry about. This has been Nubcake News and... Wait, what? They replaced me with a Death Knight? Clear my desk? I've been tricked! I'll get you for this, Arak! Yes, quite. This has been Northrend News. Good night.